how do you take that, that practical stuff and apply it into the real world? I've gone through this great process. I followed all these steps. I did these things. Now, how do I ensure I'm getting what I paid for? How do I do that?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, when I look at a WMS project entirely, you have to continue to focus on how you maximize your solution. You're making an investment in your business. You're trying to invest in a tool that's ultimately going to make you better at what you do. How are you going to ensure that you're maximizing that and using it to its full capabilities? And ultimately, there's a few key things I want to zoom in here.
Sure.
Number one, make sure your people are going to be trained and adequate to use this tool. The WMSs of kind of this generation, the WMSs that are on the market right now, enable users to make data-driven decisions. And you have to have users that are willing to listen to data and react to data.
That's a good point.
I mean, data is such a big part of what we do now in the warehouse and in the supply chain as a whole. You have to be able to leverage that and have your supervisors, your leads, your managers really trained and ready to use a tool like that. I mean, I've seen people make the mistake before of investing in a WMS, doing everything right from a solution standpoint, but then not be able to optimize with the people they have.
Gotcha.
And most of the time it's a lack of training, it's a lack of change management to allow them to really understand how they're going to leverage that tool effectively.
Gotcha.
Secondly is you need to make sure your tools are working in harmony. A lot of times a WMS is just a small piece of a larger supply chain solution. You've got a host system, an ERP that's dropping the orders to you, you've got a TMS that's planning your orders, and many times you're going to have an LMS that's attached to your WMS solution. So that transportation management system needs to be very, very capable of planning your orders effectively for the WMS to execute against. And you need a TMS that's in the same generation as your WMS. Same thing with your labor management solution. There's great solutions out there that implement engineered standards and allow you to really, track your users and have very, very granular level of information in relation to performance. Make sure you're leveraging something like that in unison with your WMS, because you want to have the ability to really use all of that data to your advantage in relation to a workforce as well to drive that savings. And then lastly, again, make sure you're doing everything right from a mechanics standpoint.
What do you mean by that?
The system is one piece, right? I could have great golf clubs out here. I can go buy the nicest clubs at the store. I can have the nicest driver, the nicest putter, the nicest everything. But if all of my mechanics are wrong, if I'm not swinging right, if I'm not, if my body ultimately isn't leveraging that equipment right, then we have a major issue. And the same thing in the warehouse. You can have a beautiful software solution, but make sure all the other contributing pieces are correct. Your material handling equipment. We've talked about your human capital, your people, and then ultimately, everything else in your operation around how you're leveraging that WMS solution.
Right.